What's going on, guys? Welcome on into another Sixers Talk episode here with JJ. I'm Jason Joseph. This is Play-by-Play with JJ. Hope you're all having yourselves a great day. If you guys are new to my channel, first of all, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell icon as well, so that way you know when I either go live or when I upload. We talk about the Phillies, we talk about the Sixers, the Flyers, and the Patriots on here, and also do play-by-play for their games as well. So with that being said, let's talk about the Sixers, because some really big news came out today, and I don't necessarily know how I feel right now. I think that it's a step in the right direction, but let's talk a little bit about it. Okay, so Doc Rivers is gone. He got fired. All right, the Sixers let him go as the head coach. Was the series his entire fault? It was not his entire fault, but I will say this. When Robert Williams was put into the lineup against the Sixers, right? And the Celtics went to that big lineup. Doc just had no adjustments. It was sort of like he just gave up. And okay, maybe they didn't have like the roster pieces, to do something, but I also feel like that maybe they could have went with Paul Reed or they could have went with somebody else. Hindsight's 20/20. But he didn't really have a move. And when they lost game 6, there is something to be said about how you try to rally the troops. So if the players didn't execute, that's totally on them, and we'll get to the players in just a few moments because I'm still sick and tired of how they played throughout those last couple of games. It ticks me off. But it starts with the head coach. The head coach did not make the adjustments. The message was not clear. And maybe there's other people that are within the organization that kind of have to, go as well. I don't know. But the message was not clear, and the Sixers ended Game 6 on a very bad note. And they should have won Game 6. The more and more you think about it, they really should have won Game 6. And there's no excuse about that. When it comes to Doc Rivers, I've also said time and time again, I've been really tough on him. I've been trying to be a little bit fair, though, because of the rotations and because of the play calling. I thought he did a better job at that this season overall compared to previous seasons. But he's lost a lot of Game 7s. The Sixers have come up short over the last 3 years. You got to get a new mindset, a new philosophy in here. And I really just was like, as soon as Game 7 was folding the way that it did, like, you can't just like sit down and fold your arms. Like, you have to, I don't know, you have to try to do something. You have to try to, make the message a little bit more clear. I thought that he should have brought in George Niang a little bit more in that Game 7. I'm not telling you that it would have changed the outcome or the results, but you gotta, like, fight for your team. And you gotta, and when Embiid is giving you really bad body language and when Harden's not giving you the best body language, you got to do something. You have to tell them in the locker room, this is not going to be tolerated. You need to do this. You need to do that. And the message, it was as clear as day that it was not clear. So while I blame Joel and James Harden, the two superstars were coming up short, Doc has something to do with that too. There's a whole lot of questions that we can talk about that are going to come up during the offseason. But before we get into more and more points, I want to remind you guys, okay, to make sure that you join the Discord server down below and make sure that you come on here because I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about not just Doc Rivers going, but what's going to happen in regards to the rest of the future for the Sixers because I'm curious and I would like to see what you guys have to say about that. So let's talk a little bit more about this whole Doc Rivers thing. Okay, so it was reported today by Ramona Shelburne, and I love Ramona Shelburne. I think she does an awesome job with ESPN. She's a great NBA insider. Woj was the one that originally broke the news about Doc Rivers going, and it didn't really surprise me. But Ramona Shelburne gave the Sixers an ultimatum here. Okay, and it was fire Doc Rivers or keep James Harden. Are you on Team Doc or are you on Team James Harden? And it doesn't surprise me that Daryl Morey, Elton Brand, and the organization as a whole decided to just fire Doc Rivers. But then here's my question. My question is, first of all, is James Harden going to come back? Realistically, do you want James Harden to come back? And if he does come back, how much are you willing to pay him? That was really 3 questions in one. Because I don't think it was just a Doc Rivers issue. I think that this is systemic. And, it's not necessarily Doc's fault that James only put up 9 points in that final game. It's not his fault in that regard. James, that's his fault. He has to be better. He has to finish at the rim. He has to be more aggressive. So, while, yes, Doc was a big part of the problem over the last 3 years, it wasn't all his fault either. And that's why this offseason is going to be filled with so many questions. And I don't know how they take this approach. If they blow it up, how do they do it? I don't think that they are going to blow it up because we also have to be very realistic as to what they do. I don't have the answers. And I'm still kind of waiting to hear a press conference about, Doc Rivers being let go and the exit interviews and all that sort of stuff. But I don't know if James Harden's going to stay. And if this was to keep James Harden, because I know Daryl Morey loves James Harden, I don't know if he's going to stay because of this. And I don't even know if I want him to stay. I'm still, in the moment as to what happened in Game 7 and in Game 6 and what he didn't do throughout that second round. He was such a shell of himself. And when your superstar's not performing, you need your Robin, your partner in crime, to step up. And he didn't do that. The next question becomes, who did they bring in? Because there's a lot of candidates. Do they go with Mike Budenholzer? Okay, do they go with Nick Nurse? Do they go with Monty Williams? Do they go with Mike D'Antoni? I don't know if I necessarily want that, because then it would just be like a Houston Rockets relationship all over again. And I don't know how that would I don't know how that whole philosophy would gel with Joel Embiid and with James Harden, because I've been hearing so many reports that if Mike D'Antoni does come to the Sixers, then it's just going to go back to what it was in Houston. Just give James the ball a lot. And Joel's not going to be happy about that. And that's a problem too. So the bottom line is that, yes, Doc Rivers is gone. Okay, the message has to be clear. And they did one thing that I had on my checklist. Because any way you looked at it, Doc had to go. It's not the biggest problem, though, because you have a lot of other problems to deal with, too. Are you going to trade Tobias Harris? Who are you going to get for Tobias Harris? Is James Harden going to come back? If so, how much is he going to get? Will this new head coach unlock Tyrese Maxey and try to have him reach his full potential? Because we saw what's been going on in Brooklyn with Mikal Bridges. He wasn't doing a whole lot, or he was a part of the system in Phoenix, and now, because the team is surrounding him, he's the star player. He's doing a lot more now. And there's a lot of play calls that have him, handling the ball. There's so many things that have to be talked about, and there's so many questions that I have that I just can't specifically say that the Sixers hit a home run just by firing Doc Rivers. They didn't. That was one step, and it had to be taken, for sure. But there's so many other issues. Our goal is to just get past the second round. That's all we ask. That's it. It didn't work out with Brett Brown. It didn't work out with Doc Rivers. It's not all on the coaching staff, though, even though they had their flaws. I'm just telling you that two things can be true. The talent, the superstars didn't play the way that they were supposed to. The team as a whole collapsed. And the coaching staff didn't do their end of the job either. ownership has screwed up with Tobias Harris and with money and that sort of stuff. We can't change that, and that's a whole nother thing. This organization has a lot of issues. But let's also acknowledge that they took a step in the right direction. But this can't be the only step. There has to be a lot more. There's a lot of rumors out there, and we're going to get into this now, that James Harden is willing to either walk and go to Houston, go back to Houston, or go to Phoenix. Those are the rumors that I've been hearing. As mad as I have been about James Harden, I also have to kind of look at it from a glass half full, glass half empty mindset. Because the one thing that we really liked is that James Harden, I understand it's during the regular season. I get that. But I do think that he helped Tyrese Maxey elevate his game in a sense. So now Maxey is going to get more attention if he's going to be the primary ball handler. And is Maxey ready to take that step? I hope he is. But I have to look at it from that perspective too. If Paul Reed does come back, James Harden did a really good job, or has always done a good job with rim runners. Guys that could go to the rim and, make alley-oop passes to them. How will that impact the rest of the team if he's not there? They're not going to have a primary ball handler unless they try to go after somebody like Trae Young, which I don't know if I necessarily see happening. So that is going to be another issue too. And then we're going to go back into the conversation of, well, the Sixers don't have a primary ball handler that can play with Joel Embiid. So I'm just saying that you can be happy, that these guys are going to leave. If they leave. Doc Rivers being one of them. But who do you replace him with? Who do you replace these cogs with? Because I don't know the answer to that. And we could be back in the same spot over and over and over again, and yet we won't be happy. So how much longer do we trust this whole situation? I don't know. Step one was delivered it was delivered today. It was. Who comes in as the head coach? And can this head coach do a good job at establishing good relationships with the players, getting the best out of everybody, including the superstars? And how will that affect the team moving forward? I just don't know. But yeah, there was no voice. There was no sort of philosophy. And Tobias Harris is coming back into having the same sort of conversation of that the Sixers need dogs. And I just feel like that we're going through the same cycle over and over and over and over and over again. I still can't get over what happened in Game 7 and in Game 6. It crushes my heart. And so I'm trying to not dig too deep into my head and get caught up with my emotions. But I can't just, it's been less than 48 hours. I just don't know where they go from here. I have no idea. I don't want Mike D'Antoni to come in as the head coach. I don't even know if I want James Harden back, though. I just don't know. But I want to hear what you guys have to say. There's a lot of things that we can definitely talk about for sure. But actually, before I get to you guys, I do want to say this. Hear me out on this. If Tobias Harris gets traded and they get a good package for Toby, and if they get a head coach that can help out with James Harden and with Joel Embiid, try to mesh their games together, are we still going to be are we still going to come in with that same sort of energy once the regular season starts? Because I really don't think so. I'm tired of watching this team lose and lose and lose in the second round. I really just am. It's sickening to me. And as a fan, I don't know if I can, go through another season of just waiting until the second round just to see if they get over that hump. Because what if, and I hate to be the negative one here, but what if we just keep running into the same problems over and over and over and over again? So that's why I'm thinking, like, maybe blowing this up isn't a bad idea. But then if you do blow it up, who are you going to get for Joel Embiid? You have to do it the right way. And I don't know if I trust them. Any way you look at it, it is a lose, 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 lose situation. Something could go wrong. And that is where my mind is right now. And I hate feeling this way. I hate being tough on Joel Embiid the way that I've been tough on him because I love Joel. He just didn't show up in Game 7, and he did a really bad job in Game 6. When I needed him to be there, he didn't show up. And I do take into the fact about the whole accountability thing because when he cried in Game 7 after after that quadruple doink, there was something to that. He wanted to get better, and he needed that experience to grow from in order to help him overcome adversity. And I see him, smiling, shaking hands with Jason Tatum, and I really feel like that there's something to that. Okay, he may not be the leader of the team, and that's a whole nother discussion, but it just makes me sick. It's disgusting to me. And I'm tired. I'm fatigued. I'm angry. I'm broken with the Sixers team. And I love Sixers basketball. And I'm obviously still going to be calling games next season regardless, but I'm just telling you, I truly don't know where they go from here. There's so many ways that they can approach this offseason, and they had to get rid of the head coach regardless. That was going to be a thing no matter what. Who do they bring in, and who does the team surround themselves with, and how do the players that do come back next year, how are they going to get better? I don't know. I was really mad when Joel Embiid wasn't being aggressive and going towards the block and at least trying to do other things, in Game 6 and Game 7. I thought that he could have been a lot more aggressive, and there just looked like that there was a lot of energy that was lost. And part of that is on Doc Rivers because you have to have your guys ready. You do. That is the coach's job. You got to call plays. You got to rally the troops. And Rob Thompson actually did a really good job at that for the Phillies last year when Joe Girardi was fired. I don't know if it's the same sort of situation. I think it's a little bit different when it comes to the Sixers. Maybe not so much for James Harden because Harden didn't want Doc Rivers back. Lots of questions, though. But I really do want to hear from you guys. And in case you guys are just on here, make sure that you join the Discord server. Come on into the voice chat because I want to hear what you guys have to say. And I'd be really curious to know what your thoughts are on this whole team and what they do moving forward. So let's get to some of your calls or text messages. Okay. And do we have anybody in the? No, we don't. Okay. Mr. Rocky said I like Doc Rivers. Rocky, with all due respect, I don't think that Doc was the main problem this year. I thought that he actually had his best year out of all 3 years that he was here, but something had to change. Ben Simmons, that whole situation, that was really bad. He didn't handle it the best way, in the Atlanta series. Last year it was the whole excuse about Joel Embiid being hurt And then in Game 6, they didn't really show a lot of fight. This year, they didn't really show a lot of fight either at the very end. So it's obvious to me that the word is not being emphasized and that you have to have a different perspective. You have to get somebody to come in here that can unlock the Sixers' potential if they see something. So Doc had to go any way that you look at it. He was going to get let go of no matter what the situation. Look at the landscape of the NBA right now. Head coaches, there's a lot of them that are available now. Ime Udoka was available, then he just got hired by Houston. Okay, but Mike Budenholzer, Nick Nurse, now Doc Rivers. Okay, Quinn Snyder was let go of by the Jazz a little bit earlier, and then he signed with the Hawks. You know, the landscape of coaches, like, they always change. And that's just the nature of the NBA. It's about getting the best out of the players. And Doc just didn't do that. Embiid was tired Game 6 and Game 7. I don't know what it was, but the fact that he won the MVP and he got it when he did, I saw a difference in play. Maybe it was just me seeing something different. I don't know. He could have been tired, but I'm just really frustrated, bottom line, with how he played throughout those last 2 games. Thought it was terrible, and I better not see that again. I can't forgive him right now for it. I can't. Especially with his demeanor when he was talking during the press conference. Throwing his other teammates under the bus. Because he was. Like, it is team basketball, and you got to play 5-on-5, but you're the superstar. The team revolves around you. We've always said that this team is going to go as far as Joel does. That's a fact. You can't be saying that type of stuff, man. I need accountability, and that's been a word that's been used so much out of the last, 5 years or so. Ben Simmons used that word a lot. Joel's been using that word. I'm tired of that. Just tired and angry and frustrated with all that. Mike says, trade Embiid and let Harden run the team. Mike, with all due respect, I am not doing that. No. I mean, today is the day where you can release your frustrations and all that sort of stuff. But I can't do that, my guy. With what I didn't see from James Harden in Game 2, 3, 6, and 7. And even in Game 5, I'm not even going to say that was an average game. I actually went back and I watched a lot of it. He didn't do so well in Game 5. He just got lucky that Tyrese Maxey ended up getting really hot. It's the truth. So, if you're going to keep one of the guys, it has to be Joel Embiid. Just does. This whole thing about, you can't win with a center, I understand where people are coming from in regards to that. It is a guard-driven league, but Harden is just older, and he's more unreliable because he proves it time and time again in the biggest moments. He just does. He doesn't shoot the ball well in the games that really matter. So I don't know. Miami, if you want to come on and if you want to talk to me, just raise your hand and I'll get you on here, man. Because we can totally do that. All right, let's get Miami to come on here. There we go. I want to hear what he has to say. Miami, what's up, man?
I am so glad we fired Doc.
Yeah, me too. Why is that, though?
He's just not a good coach. For us, at least, he doesn't
Do you think
make good replacements.
do you think that do you think that this needs to be the only move that the Sixers make during the offseason if they want to get better? Or do you think that this was
No,
just a step like in the right direction?
this is just a good step in the right direction. I think the next best step is Harden.
You think Harden has to go too?
Yes.
Um, so then my question to you is, if Harden like wants to go back to Houston, do you think that you do like a sign and trade and try to get a third team involved?
I could see that, but if we're going based off just what we would want from the Rockets, I think Kevin Porter Jr. would be in that deal.
Yeah. Do you think Jalen Green would be a
And
part of the deal or no?
the thing with that, I think they want to have Harden and Green next to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think too. Now, what do you think about them trying to get rid of Tobias Harris? Do you see that being a possibility? And if so, like
Oh yeah.
who?
Oh yeah. I meant to say he's gone too.
Yeah,
He's gone.
yeah. I just don't know who they could get for him. Um,
I
but
don't think anybody's gonna want him. I
right.
think the best thing we could get, like from the Clippers, get Eric Gordon or something because of the contract.
Yeah. No, no. I can see what you're saying about that. But no, Miami dude, thanks for coming on here, man. I always love hearing your thoughts, and yeah, man, thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Hey, if you guys want to come on and if you want to, give your thoughts about the Sixers or anything, make sure that you join the Discord server down below because I love hearing like what you guys have to say. I really do. And I think that with the whole Tobias Harris sort of situation, um, it's going to be interesting to see what Daryl Morey does during the offseason. My other question, and I didn't get a chance to ask this to Miami, but is there a possibility that Daryl Morey doesn't come back next year? I don't know if I can necessarily rule that out of the equation because I haven't really been hearing a whole lot from ownership with, Josh Harris and with David Blitzer, even though they've been really busy, trying to take over the NFL and, by the Washington Commanders and all that sort of stuff. But I'm just curious as to what their relationship, what ownership's relationship and everybody else in the front office has thought about Daryl Morey and what he has done over the last couple of years because I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Do you think that Daryl Morey's job is on the line now too? Or do you think depending on what happens during the offseason, because he's in a tough spot now, how he handles this offseason, maybe next offseason he'll be let go of? I don't know. Quack Rivers. Trade me for Embiid. I'll play 48 minutes. My gosh. Yeah, Mike, I'm not there yet with Joel. I'm frustrated with how he played in games 6 and 7, but I'm not there yet with Joel, man. I'm just not. Your running mate has to be better. You have to be better, but your running mate also has to be better too. I just want to see him take accountability, and I don't need to hear that from him. I need him to be saying, I need to be better, and I'm going to do whatever it takes for me to get better because I just lost in a game 7 to a 26-year-old guy who's younger than me that put up 52 points. Sickening and frustrating. All right, with that, I think that we're going to shut things down. But again, if you guys want to come on in the future, we're going to be talking about this team, okay? This is a big off season. Okay, there's going to be a lot of things to talk about. But step 1 was accomplished today. They fired Doc Rivers. That was one step. Now it's the question of who do they bring in and what other moves are they going to make? And will the moves help either A, continue the process or help them in a rebuilding mode? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But I love you all so much. If you guys want to come on in the future and give your opinions about the Sixers, make sure that you join the Discord server down below. And, I'll get you on for a voice call. And I'd love to hear what your opinions are. Let me just check to see one more time if we have anybody else on here. Nope, we do not. All right, we're going to shut things down. Don't forget to follow JJ on all the social media platforms. And don't forget to like, subscribe. Help me out with the algorithm, man. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button as well. I love you all so much. We'll see you all tonight for the Phillies game. They take on the San Francisco Giants. Hopefully they have a better game rather than last night, and that they can actually, go on a winning streak once again. All right? They're a whole nother topic, a whole nother discussion, but I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out.